JBNN keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones. Hi guys. Before we go into the news, please remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the news with someone today. Now on to the news. Man killed during alleged shootout with cops at Hunts Bay Station. A man is dead and his accomplice escaped injury during an armed confrontation with law enforcement on Saturday night at the Hunts Bay Police Station in St. Andrew. According to Senior Superintendent of Police, SSP Kirk Ricketts, head of the St. Andrew South Police Division, two men were spotted on the roof of the Hunts Bay lockup around 11:40 p.m. Police attempted to detain the men when one of them opened fire at the officers. The police took necessary evasive measures, returned fire, and at the end of the melee, it was discovered that one of the two men was suffering from gunshot injuries. The other man escaped, SSP Ricketts said.
Just before 12 midnight last evening, I would say about 11:40 p.m., the police discovered that men were on the rooftop of the Hunts Bay lockup. They attempted to accost these men when one of the men opened fire at the police, and the police took the necessary evasive action, returned the fire, and at the end of the melee, it was discovered that one of two men was suffering from gunshot injuries. The other man escaped. We believe that this was an attempt by these culprits to introduce contraband to the lockups. We have noticed in recent times an increased discovery in contraband within our lockups. We do know that we have some vulnerabilities towards the rear of the premises, and as such we have increased our presence, and so our increased patrolling of the space would have uncovered this attempt last night. Yes, a Glock 9mm was recovered from the deceased individual.
4 men killed in Trelawney crash. Lawmen assigned to the Falmouth Traffic Department have commenced a probe into the circumstances surrounding a collision that claimed the lives of 4 men on the Rock Main Road in Trelawney on Sunday, February 18. The victims have been identified as 23-year-old Kimani Thompson, a fisherman of Falmouth, 24-year-old Andre Gonzalez of Florence Hall, Falmouth, 24-year-old Marco Williams of Pimento Walk, Ochorea St. Anne, and 25-year-old Jason Reed, a lifeguard of Peel Street in Falmouth. Reports are that about 2:32 a.m., Thompson was driving a Toyota Mark X motor car towards Falmouth with Gonzalez, Williams and Reed aboard, when upon reaching an intersection, he collided with an Audi Q3 motor car that was attempting to make a right turn. The police were alerted, and all 4 passengers in the Mark X motor car were transported to hospital, where they succumbed to their injuries while undergoing treatment. The passengers of the Audi Q3, a man and a woman, were admitted in stable condition. Investigations are ongoing. Line cutting at Ochorea's restaurant triggered fatal shooting, say prosecutors. An altercation over a female patron cutting the line inside a fast food restaurant is what sparked a deadly shooting incident outside the eatery in Ochorea's St. Anne last month, prosecutors have disclosed. The victim has been identified as Kajay Sims, 30, a laborer of Gale, St. Mary. A video recording of the incident is among the evidence in the case. Sims was with a group of friends and family members who went to the mother's restaurant on January 27. It's reported in court documents that Sims and the members of his group were waiting in line to place their orders when a woman went in front of them, triggering an argument that quickly became physical. According to prosecutors, the confrontation spilled out onto the street as other people aligned to the warring factions joined in. It's alleged that Sims pulled a knife and stabbed 2 men before gunfire erupted. He was found with a gunshot wound and later died at hospital. 3 police constables, Ewan Ramsey, Marcelo Carr, and Jamil Scott, are each facing charges of misprision of felony and misconduct in a public office arising from the incident. Misprision of felony is a failure to report a crime. The court document alleged that Ramsey confronted Sims as he argued with the woman accused of cutting the line and uttered the words, "a badness." 5 civilians, Dujane Hall, Onique Hall, Troy Allen, Moya Carr, and Fitzgerald Stewart, have also been charged with misprision of felony. The 3 policemen remain in custody after bail applications made by their attorneys, Michael Hemmings and Donovan Collins, were denied by a judge at the St. Anne's Bay Parish Court on Friday. All 5 civilians were granted bail. They have been barred from leaving the island and were ordered to surrender their travel documents to authorities. Collins was critical of the treatment meted out to the policemen, saying that he has seen the video footage and none of the 8 people placed before the court was seen with any gun. He said what is of great concern is that 7 of the 8 accused persons have been in custody since January 27. After 3 weeks, they were eventually charged and placed before the court. This, in my view, shows a scant regard some people in this country show for the liberty of others sometimes, the attorney said. He noted that the new Bail Act gives the police the power to grant bail to a suspect even when the suspect has not been charged with any crime. Campbell Collimore's cabby had premonition prior to double murder. The taxi driver who was killed in the shooting attack on Simone Campbell Collimore had expressed reservations about working that day, but he brushed aside a sense of foreboding because he had to provide for his children. Winston Walters was shot dead outside the businesswoman's Forest Ridge apartment complex in Red Hills, St. Andrew, on January 2, 2018, when 2 men sprayed his taxi with bullets. He was shot 5 times, including a bullet to his head, while Campbell Collimore was shot 19 times. Walters' wife, who testified from overseas via video link on Friday in the Home Circuit Court, tearfully recounted the day of the incident. On that day, he said he didn't feel the vibes to go to work, but he had to go for his kids because they had to live, she said as she burst into tears. The teacher, who occasionally patted her chest periodically in distress as tears flowed throughout her testimony, said her husband had 4 sons, 3 of whom they shared. According to the witness, her husband usually leaves home by 6:30 a.m., but on that fateful day, he delayed a bit and ended up leaving the house between 8:30 and 9 a.m. The court also heard that the couple had recently purchased the blue Toyota Axio, which has been used as a taxi, and that Walters had just signed up with a taxi company and has been working for about 3 months. Asked if she had spoken to her husband after he left the house that day, the widow said he had opened an account to save the earnings from the taxi venture and that she was supposed to meet him after 2 p.m. at the bank to add her name to the account. However, she told the court that she called him to reschedule for the following day as she had a trouble headache. After 4 p.m. that day, she said that she sent him a message, but he did not respond. I waited a while after I sent another message, and I called and called and called, she said while sniffling and wiping her nose. About 6:35 p.m., the witness said she received a phone call from one of her husband's co-workers at the taxi company and was informed that he had been hospitalized. Consequently, the witness said she told her children to quickly get dressed as they had to go to the hospital, and she thought it was just an accident. However, she said the same co-worker called her back, and after speaking with her, she later went by her mother's house. On the following day, the witness went to the Constant Spring police station in St. Andrew, where she saw the car with the windshield missing. On January 11, she identified her husband's body during the autopsy. Omar Bess Collimore, who was accused of plotting his wife's murder, is being tried for the double murder, along with Michael Adams, Dwayne Pink, and Shaquille Edwards. They are each being tried for 2 counts of murder and a count of conspiracy before Justice Leighton Pusey. One of Collimore's co-accused, Wade Blackwood, who confessed to shooting Walters, was sentenced on March 11, 2021, to 2 life sentences on 2 counts of murder and 8.5 years for illegal possession of a firearm. The sentences are running concurrently, and he'll be eligible for parole after serving 35 years. The slaying of the 2 victims was captured on closed-circuit television and appeared to be one of the factors that nudged Blackwood to plead guilty. The video recordings and the quality of still images showed Blackwood approaching the front passenger side of the vehicle and firing into it, court documents revealed. According to him, 2 men who he knew had threatened him into taking part in the woman's murder after he declined. "Remember say a barman things ain't not pay feet yet, so wait till me come back. A different thing," he had quoted one of the men as saying to him in a phone call. The trial will continue on Monday. Golden insists government should reveal tax threshold financing plan. Opposition leader Mark Golding is pressing the government to disclose his strategy for funding the proposed increase to the $1.5 million tax threshold, as announced by the Prime Minister during a spot meeting in Clarkstown, Trelawney last weekend. Speaking with reporters earlier this week, Golding emphasized the need for transparency regarding the government's financing plans. He noted that while the People's National Party PNP has its own proposal to finance a $3 million income tax threshold, it's imperative for the government to outline its strategy.
I've already said that I think there's a justification for the threshold being increased. We had proposed it in my presentation to our annual conference that it should be increased to $3 million to adjust for the inflation that has transpired since 2016 and to preserve the value of the benefit. of the threshold that was then imposed, plus a buffer for some future inflation, which is ongoing. We have our own plan as to how we'd finance this, but the government are in power and they need to say how they are going to finance it, because the important point to bear in mind is that the way they did it the last time was through an increase in indirect taxes, which fell on the backs of the people. So they shifted the burden from those who got the benefit to those who are not in a taxable position from an income tax point of view. And poverty responded by going up quite dramatically in 2019 before COVID, from 11 to over 16%. And the inequality in Jamaica, as measured by the Gini coefficient, also increased. So we are absolutely insistent that if they are going to do this, which we don't have a problem with, as I said, we've called for it, it cannot be by shifting more taxes onto the backs of those who are not getting the benefit. Nobody earning under $29,000 a week will get any benefit from an increase in the income tax threshold, and they must not be required to pay for it by any additional taxes being levied on them. We need to hear from the government the parameters of how they propose to finance this, how they're going to fund it, when they plan to roll it out, and to what extent they're planning in terms of an increase. I thought the Prime Minister, having announced this on the campaign trail, there would have been something about it in the throne speech, but there was nothing.
JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.